Greetings, Algo artisans. What a day for Bitcoin, breaking out, looking like it's going to start heading. Well, it did break the all-time high. It's above its all-time high from March. Is that March? Yeah, March. Already there, already above it, and staying above it pretty strongly. So that's an interesting thing. We'll start with Bitcoin. We're actually jumping right into the charts today. So let me go ahead and make this a little easier to see. Okay, so let's actually take a look at the weekly because it'll be a little bit easier to see what's going on. I could tell you at the bottom of the screen, all that algo mucky muck right there, all this gobbledygook, that's very bullish. Let's put it that way. All that's looking bullish. There's not a hair of bearishness in that. And we saw it coming. There was a time when price was right about here. Because remember, indicators lag. They're not the most efficient way to kind of tell what's going to happen next. In a certain way, they're very useful. In another way, they're not as good as price action, right? But around here, you couldn't tell. The indicators were like, well, it could go either way. And you kind of had to know what was going on with the larger market to understand that we were nearing a time of breakout, right? So if you didn't know, if you had no idea what the rest of the market looked like, if you didn't know how to read price action, at that point, you might have been scared and you might have sold out. That's kind of how, excuse me, that's kind of how that works, right? That the market is designed to shake out the weak hands. So with that said, now price has gone above its all-time high. Now this really was effectively a big giant bull flag. And on a higher time frame, you could map that out. Now, I'm not really big on bull flags, a low time frame with Bitcoin. There's a history of a certain algorithm goes way back to like, the early mid 20 teens. It was called the momentum ignition algo. And what it did was it would cause people to panic in and out of trades, and it would paint these fake bull flags. So I was real kind of cautious of talking about bull flags in Bitcoin. I almost never traded them because of that. But on such a high time frame, that is not possible because the momentum ignition algo relies on regular retail traders to panic in and panic out. And that's just not what you're going to see when you're looking at something like a weekly chart, right? That those are instant decisions that happen in minutes or maybe hours. But on something like this, not really a problem. So what are my targets? Very simple. You look at the flagpole here. There's a couple of ways to do this. You could take the flagpole, copy it, paste it over, and put it to the lowest part of the flag. Now, you would think the lowest part would be where I just put it, which if I draw an arrow to that, is right here where it dipped down to about 50,000, around about that. Let's see, 48,000. But that was due to a market panic. Now, there are some people who would say that's where you got to take the bottom of the flagpole because that's where the market went. I like to think that the market was distorted because of the USD JPY scenario. And that, or not the USD JPY, but the Japanese yen, the Bank of Japan doing its thing. That's not really the way I do things. I look at that as a distortion. I'd rather kind of keep things around about a mean, keep things where price normally would have gone, which is right where it is right now. And if you take a look at the top of that flagpole, if you copy it and paste it and put it at the bottom of this flag right here, which this is the more or less the top of the flag right here. And these things are not perfect, your target's going to be the top of the flagpole, which is about 101,000. Now that also is going to be probably going to be front run. There's a lot of people that are going to sell below 100,000. There are some theories about why Bitcoin may not make it past 100,000. Besides the idea that it's a nice round number, and a lot of times things kind of get knocked out. A lot of charts will stop and turn around at large round numbers, especially significant ones like 10 or like 100 or 1,000. But in this case, there's some confluence there. You can use this old school kind of flagpole way to do it, or what you can also do is use this Fibonacci numbers like I just mapped out right here. So you go ahead and lay the Fibonacci over the flagpole and you get your Fibonacci extension numbers, which I tend to only look at the 1.272 and the 1.618. And those are 86.8 thousand and 104,000. Again, with 86, I probably would consider front running. Instead of taking it out at 86.8, I would go 86.5 or maybe even 84 or something to kind of go below that 85,000 round number that everyone's going to look at. That would be the conservative thing to do. Or if the target's at 86,800 and I really wanted to squeeze out every bit of profit, I might say like 86,790, something like that. And then, of course, we have our target at 104, which is very confluential with our flagpole target, which was 101. That being said, I might take things out around 99,000 something or other, right? Just kind of front run that. So that's kind of the high time frame look on Bitcoin. That's what Bitcoin might do over the next, I'd say, 2 quarters. It might happen a lot more quickly. It might happen like in December. December does tend to have a run up, the Santa rally, and Bitcoin does run up when the rest of the market runs up, and when the rest of the market kind of falls, Bitcoin tends to fall. There are some times when it's more likely to do so, right? So let's go back to our prior bull cycle. When you're in a kind of a trough, when nothing is going on with Bitcoin. So in this case, between mid 2018 all the way through 2020, when there's not a lot happening compared to these big bull runs, the Bitcoin's going to be a bit more influenced by the wider market, especially prior to, say early 2020, when, forgive me, that right here in this area. Now, 2020 is when the bull market starts. And of course, despite the fact that we were in a bit of a bull market, there was the COVID panic that pushed price down. So, just understand that Bitcoin is going to be subject to what the rest of the market does, more or less. Now, it's going to be not quite a subject when you're in the middle of a big bull run, a hardcore move up, unless you have something as crazy as the COVID situation, right? Some kind of black swan event. It will probably ignore the rest of the market during this time, right? It's just going to be on its own bull run. It might have slight fluctuations. It might get pulled a little bit by the broader market on the short term, but it'll probably just keep going up and ignore it. And conversely, on the way back down from such a bull run, even if the rest of the market is going up, this will probably start heading down anyway. It might get pulled up a little bit by the traditional market, but it's going to do its own thing. And then again, when you're in a bit of a quiet time prior to a bull run, it's going to be a lot more subject to what the market does right here. It's just not going to have as much volatility because it is not in a bull run or calming down from a bull run. So that's the way Bitcoin behaves. It is now looking like it's in the gates of the final leg up of the bull run. That leg up could go as high as, if we're just going to do like a 1-to-1 from, from our move here, you're looking at about 120. Some of the smarter math heads that I like to look at, and again, I'm pretty good at math, but these guys are like animals. 140 to 160 is their low, right? That's their bottom for the peak, and that can go all the way up easily to 180, 200,000. However, I'd like to temper that. We do have some things that we talk about in the private live lab, over which we are about to go. Right, we're about to go over there, over to which we're about to go, and there might be some technical issues keeping Bitcoin below 100,000. This can happen. It may not happen. The crowd might just be so excited that there's nothing that can be done to keep it from going over 100,000. That's possible, but I think there are some forces that might hold it there. So we got to be real careful and keep our head on a swivel by the time Bitcoin gets there. So as exciting as Bitcoin is, we are now 10 minutes into the public live lab. So I'm going to go ahead and move us over to the private live lab. And we're gonna start the show over there. So go ahead and visit algofactory.tech. We teach people how to trade, how to build algorithms. We have a lot of success. We've got people in there who even have never traded, although a lot of them are veteran traders. A lot of the veteran traders come in and they pick it up real quick because they understand markets, and they just have to kind of relearn some of the basics and then plot on with our methodology of building their own algo, right? But we're not going to just give you some method. We're not going to say, trade my style here, trade my trading plan, and you'll do great, because that generally doesn't work. The vast majority of people fail. The vast majority of people fail anyway. Even with any trading program, almost everybody fails, but you have those who stick with it, and we do have a pretty decent rate of success for people building their own algos. So come do it, algofactory.tech, trade your job, upgrade your life, and never, ever, ever forget.
Join us or die.